Hey guys, um, it's Juan. As of right now, it is 12:30 uh, on a Friday. This is gonna be more of a criticism on my part, and to basically show the evolution of myself, how I've changed. But in order for you to see that, I kind of have to address the bad stuff as well. So there's going to be things that I'm going to be talking about that not even Alexandra knows, but I feel like it's necessary in order to show my progression over the years. So with that, I'm going to start at the very beginning, and that is going to be in 2011. Right off the bat, my sophomore year. This was before we had gotten together in May. The beginning of my sophomore year, I was very confused about, just what to really do in high school. I mean, I didn't really have that many friends, and the friends that I did have were kind of, they didn't really suit me at the time. I remember I dated this girl early on my sophomore year, and that didn't turn out good. But fast forward a couple of months into it, I'd say about February, I started to talk about, to my friends at least, I started to talk about wanting to date again, but actually like have a serious relationship. I just didn't know with who at the time. It was around that time that I actually started noticing a girl in my English class at the end of the day. And that, of course, was Alexandra. I have seen her around since I was probably in middle school. I never really talked to her as much up until my sophomore year. But I always knew about her. I always knew she was around. So the story goes, I began talking to her and started to try to get to know her a little bit more than I had before. And I remember her always replying very quietly, very shy. And that was just because I thought that maybe she didn't like me, or because maybe she just didn't know me well enough. But as time went on, and the semester or the quarter went on, we started talking a lot more in class, and eventually it led me to ask her to be my girlfriend. She said no the first time. And I remember I was like, I don't think she thinks I'm serious about that, because I would always be joking around and stuff like that. And so I tried again, and she said no again. And I remember I tried again and again and again. Ultimately, from what I remember, was the point of when she actually said yes was when, I started talking to her outside of class. I asked her to be my girlfriend once we started to talk and text a lot more, and she started to get to know me a little bit. I started to walk her home, and we were finally together. It was great. It was, at least I felt better about this relationship than my previous one earlier on in the beginning of the year. Moving on to junior year, and this is the part because it just happened so long ago, I just can't remember, but something had happened where we weren't together, I believe, like halfway through the year. And I think that carried on into our senior year until the very end, where I started to talk to her again. And throughout that time when we were together, I did miss her. But like there was also other things going on, personal things that I just couldn't really dedicate my attention to her, properly. So I started talking to her again my senior year, and I started thinking, maybe I'm in a good place now to start this up again. And you know what? I found out, if I remember correctly, that she was actually going to move away to Arizona. And one, I was sad because that meant that I wouldn't get the chance to actually have a full-on relationship with her after high school. But she would always tell me, like, we can make it work. I can come on the weekends and you'll still see me, this and that. And I just wanted to enjoy my time with her rather than to struggle with that, because I knew that it was going to be rough on both of us. I didn't want to put both of us through that. Towards the end of our senior year, I kind of wanted to distance myself from her. I think that I thought at the time, if I had done that, maybe she would have been able to move on easier, and I would have been able to move on easier as well, and we can skip the hardships of being in a long distance relationship. And as I kept getting closer and closer to the end of our senior year, I started to remember all the good times that I had with her. I started to remember all the good times that I had with her. Like the first date that we ever had. When I took her out for the very first time to the park. Actually going is the first place where I took her out on a date, like way long ago, like after so many times of her just like saying no, I guess. There it is. I mean, there's nothing there now because they took off the bench, probably because of us, I guess. I mean, this space specifically used to have a bench. It was the bench that I called, like, I guess our spot. I took her here on our first date, because honestly it was the first date that I ever had with her. I never knew where to take her or anything like that. I took her to go get ice cream at the liquor store, like literally right at the end of the park, and brought her here, and we sat down here and we didn't talk for a while. And after that, we started talking. It was the first time she had ever talked to me, like, for a very, very long time. I think we spent like hours, almost a whole day here. And I don't know. This spot just represents the beginning of everything, I guess you could say. It's, it doesn't look like much. It looks, shitty. The bench isn't even there anymore. But, to me at least, it's where everything started. And this is always going to be like one of the spots that I think about when I think about like our relationship. Like remembering all those times that we had at that park was something that I still hold to this day very, very near and dear to my heart. I also remember another significant time where I heard her sing, you know, for the first time after watching a movie. She has always been shy about singing, because she thinks that she's not good. I mean, definitely I'm not good, and I sing all the time, so the first time I ever heard her sing was actually very, nice. I mean, it showed me one thing, and that was that she was comfortable enough to at least do that around me, or with me, so that I think is another very important moment that we've had in our relationship, and that happened at her old house when we were standing outside and I was waiting for my ride, and that is her old house right there. That one right there. We were standing right there on the driveway, and I remember we were outside and we were eating something. I forgot what we were eating. Or she was eating something. I think she was eating like tacos or something like that. And I had told her, like, this song reminds me of you. It was Warmness on the Soul. But like, she knew like the chorus of the song, and I told her, come on, please, let me hear you sing just once, and like I told her, I'll even sing with you. And we sang the chorus together, and after that, it's like, I knew that she was comfortable enough to at least do that around me, and that for me was huge, at least in my opinion. The hardest thing that I had to do that year was push her away, because, and regardless of however she thinks of it, I didn't want to push her away, but I know that I needed to, because, it would just be better that way. So, I kind of just started being a dick. So this spot, even though it's at the same park, actually holds a different type of memory. It's actually what I call the second beginning, or the more serious part of the relationship. So in high school, we actually ended up breaking up, I guess you could say, right? Like, we weren't together. And after my senior year, or actually during my senior year, I was a dick, like, she had tried to keep it cool, and I still liked her and stuff like that, but I didn't want it to seem like, like I missed her and stuff like that. After my friend told her that I missed her, she actually hit me up on Facebook saying, like, Chris told me, like, you missed me or something like that, something along those lines. And I told her, well, yeah, and I told her, do you want to hang out? And we came back here to, this park. And, we started walking around, we started talking, catching up, what's been happening over the past 2 years. It was a great time. I hadn't felt that happy in a very, very long time. And we came here, actually, and I remember that I wanted to kiss her, and I looked at her, and I asked her if I could. She said yes, and so I did. I kissed her, and after that, I asked her to be my girlfriend again, and she said yes with a smile, and we kissed, and that was basically how this all started up again. One of the things you're going to notice is that a major theme throughout this story is going to be me doing things with the best intentions in mind, yet, I come off as the bad guy because, they come out or the turnout is very, very bad. And it looks bad on my part. So, as I'm telling you this story, you may come to the conclusion that maybe I'm not the good guy, but maybe I'm just the bad guy of her story. moving forward, after we were back together, um, it was great. You know, we finally were able to continue our relationship and actually have a much more mature relationship. You know, um, honestly, I was just excited to have her as my girlfriend again because I missed her that much. So after we got back together, you know, like we did a lot of activities together. Like I would go to her grandma's house, and that's the first time I ever saw her favorite movie with her. It was Grease, and you know, I wasn't a big fan. Like the movie's not for me, but you know, like I could see why she enjoys it. We also, you know, used to spend a lot of time together after that because it had been so long since like we talked and all that stuff that we would always want to be around each other. Moving to May, that's when I got my first job at On Track overnight shipping company, and you know I was excited, you know, because it was my first like real job, and I finally had money, you know, and I finally could buy the things that I always wanted. But I was selfish in the way that I didn't use any of that money, or not a significant amount, to like do things for Alexandra. Every time I would get a paycheck, I would definitely buy something for myself, and I never thought of her. And that, even to this day, as I'm recording this, is like one of the biggest regrets that I have. You know, that I wish I can go back and fix, but you know, she was excited that I was at least working, and I would always go visit her after work. You know, that's how every day would go. I would go to work, get out at 11, go see her until like 1 or 2 a.m. and repeat. You know, moving on to December, you know, I bought her a present. It was a cookie jar of Doctor Who, I believe, and you know, she liked that. And then I left my job because I wanted to look for something else. Like my body just couldn't handle the physical stress anymore. Going into 2016, you know, instead of looking for a job, I actually contemplated the idea of going back to school. You know, even though at this point I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And she had always been convincing me, or like, she had always been like telling me, like, you should go back to school, you know, like, get a degree, just do something. And, you know, I was a little iffy about it, if I should continue working, or if I should go to school. Eventually, as the more she told me, the more it started to sink in that I really did miss school. And you know, it was funny the way that I decided to go back to school was just on a random night when I was out with my friends at like Santa Monica. I was hanging out here with a couple of friends, and it was actually right here where I'm sitting that I made the decision to go back to school, you know, to actually take all of it seriously this time and not break my back at a factory and stuff, but actually build a future for her, you know, and just actually try this time instead of fucking up like always. You know, and I've never told her that I was here when I made that big decision, but, you know, it was because of her that I actually made it, and it was right here. This is where it all started. It's where I got to go to LBCC, and I met all my friends, got the job that I have now there, and, you know, even met you, man. So, it all started right here. Yeah, so after I made that decision there, I finally went back to school, but I wasn't going to go back to the community college I attended, which was East LA College, I decided to go to the same one that she did, Long Beach City College, because I knew that she would have me on top of my shit, and that I would actually take it seriously rather than, slack off. And so I went, and, I took a history class there, and I did so well that the professor wanted me to be his supplemental instructor. And it was another job that would allow me to go to school and work with my school schedule and everything. And I took it, because I wanted to have money to do stuff. And also, not have a job where it would kill me and, still have to go to school and stuff like that. It was the perfect job. Moving into the following semester, spring semester, early 2017, I decided to take a photography class. Because at this time, I wanted to be an art major. That was my major at the time. Came here with her. It was last year around, I want to say maybe February or March. And I was so into photography at the time that, I wanted to take pictures of her. And I remember she didn't know what to do, she didn't know how to pose and stuff, and she was sort of nervous. I wouldn't say nervous. She was just so lost, but we got the picture. I remember at least I wanted to get her under here, where she was sitting on the table facing out that way, and it was a nice picture. I've kept it all, for this long, because even though she seemed uncomfortable, I guess. I don't know. She still liked it, and I still liked it, so I thought it was worth keeping, at least. And I met a group of people that were very different than what I had experienced in terms of friendships. They were very outspoken. They were very outgoing, which at the time I was not. And I enjoyed hanging out with them. They were really cool people. Unfortunately, this led to another big regret that I do have in my relationship with Alexandra. And in April, Alexandra's grandfather passed away. And unfortunately, it coincided with the trip that me and this particular group of friends had been planning to go to Disneyland. And I talked to Alexandra, and she told me that I should go with my friends to Disneyland. Not realizing that I should have stayed and gone to the wake that was on the same day I went to Disneyland. And that to this day is the biggest piece of shit move that I've ever done. It's one of the biggest things that even to this day now I regret it. And I wish I could go back and fix it, but I can't. But I learned from it, and I took things a lot more seriously after that. But before I got to that point, so much other stuff had happened. We stopped talking for a couple weeks, and then we came into contact again. And as me and Alexander were talking, she gave me an ultimatum. It was either I choose her and give up my friends, or I give up this group of friends and I stay with her. And there was no question about it. I had only known these people for a semester, and I would always invest my time more in Alexandra than in anybody somebody that I've only known for like a couple months. So obviously I chose Alexandra. And I don't remember, but leading into summer, we stopped talking again. And it was like about a month that I didn't talk to her. But you know what? I started telling people that, I miss her again. And maybe enough time has passed to where some healing had been done. And maybe I just wanted to see where it would go. Maybe she missed me and stuff like that. So I was in contact with her, and she had told me she made a new friend. Her name was Lauren, and she had told me that she met this girl in her baking class. And it was fine. I had always told her, like, I want you to make friends. Because growing up, I always had a lot of friends, and she was kind of, she never really had like that friend experience, I guess you would say, up until this point. So I was excited for her that she had this friend, and she would hang out with her, and stuff like that. Come to find out, I believe towards the end of summer, like around August, that they were actually dating. So to me, that was kind of gut-wrenching, because like she was lying to me. And to me, always in a relationship, and guys and girls, if you guys are seeing this, the number one thing that you should always keep in mind is just communication. And with communication comes honesty. That is the thing that's going to keep so many arguments, so many problems from happening. It doesn't matter how mad someone will get. Initially, it's always going to be way better if you tell the truth right away than if you lie about it and they find out. Believe me, I know from experience. I hold honesty very near and dear to my heart. It's what I believe in. I believe in open communication and honesty 100%. And I had never lied to her, like serious things like that you don't lie about, And I can understand, like she had no reason to tell me the truth. We weren't together. But it's that mutual respect that I think is why I expected the truth. And that's why I was kind of hurt. Not even kind of. I was really hurt that she had lied to me. But, moving forward, we ended up talking again. And at this point, she wasn't dating her anymore, but they were still friends. And, I was just happy to have been talking with Alexandra again, for us to start spending a lot of time together again. Basically doing couple shit, And I took my W however I can have it. I took my win however I can have it.
So this place, it's not really specifically a memory like that's just with us, but the reason why I like this place, one, because of the good food and like she enjoys coming here, but also because we came here when a couple of my friends that I've known for years came down from San Francisco, and one of them came from Australia, and they were actually engaged at the time. And we came here as like a double date kind of thing. And for her, I never really got the sense that she ever wanted to meet any of my friends, but for her to come here, as a double date and actually like interact with them and also show that she actually was making an effort, she was trying to be involved in more than just like between me and her, but actually like get involved with my friends, my social life. And to me, even though I know that's kind of like the hardest thing for her to do, it's one of the things that also meant who we the world to me. So one of the things that we did was that night after Starbucks, you know, I told her, you know what, fuck it, let's go to Santa Monica. Let's go do something that we've never done before, something spontaneous, something that wasn't even planned, right? So we came that night, you know, after, you know, she came from her friend's house and stuff like that, regardless. And, you know, I remember having a good time with her. You know, we came for the first time, we came to ride them, especially this fucking roller coaster, and you know, I remember her having fun. So she ended up coming over that night. She spent the night, and then after that, you know, it was kind of like, it was a little wobbly, but you know, regardless of the fact, like, we still ended up getting back together and stuff like that. So, you know, I do chalk it up to her enjoying that night. Everything was going good, you know, fast forwarding a little to November, or around her birthday, and it was her birthday party. Up until this point, I had never met Lauren. You know, I had just heard about her, I had seen her in pictures, but I've never met her. I had the unfortunate pleasure of meeting her at Alexandra's birthday party. I was angry. You know, I didn't like her initially, you know, and by initially I mean like, it's not like I liked her over time, like, you know, but I didn't like her when I met her because of everything that had happened up to that point. She was annoying, you know, she was drinking. You know, there was even an instance where we were sitting on a couch and she was sitting next to me. She burped right in my fucking face. So that got me even more mad. I am, at this point, like, I am so done with her. And then as I tried to dance with Alexandra at her party, you know, she kept taking her away from me. So that just elevated, I guess, I don't like to use the word hatred, but like, you know, it just got me even angrier than I was, and made me dislike her a lot more. Compounded with the fact that at the end of the party, I found out that she was actually staying the night there, sleeping over, because she didn't have a ride home, or that the plan was for her to sleep over. With Alexandra already knowing that, that bothers me, right? I open up to Alexandra, and I tell her, like, you know, I don't feel comfortable with this. Like, I don't like that you're still talking to her. Not, you know, like, if you guys were just friends initially, that would be fine, but there's a history there, you know, and if you, like, if we're dating, if we're, like, being together and stuff like that, and, you know, we're taking each other seriously, you know, I feel like I can come to you and ask you, like, because of everything that happened between you and her, like, I'm just not comfortable with, and, like, if you could, like, please, like, stop talking to her, because I'm pretty sure she still likes you. And this whole, like, conversation ensued, and, you know, things got heated, but eventually we ended up at the point where she said, okay. And that meant a lot to me. You know, that meant a lot that I opened up to her and she took those feelings seriously. And, you know, I really appreciated that. Fast forwarding, I think, early December, and this is 2017, like December 2017. I forgot exactly how I found out or if she told me or something, but we started getting into an argument, and, you know, I found out that she had still been talking to Lauren behind my back after I had already opened up to her, and she said she was going to stop talking to her.
and she had told me that she changed her name on Snapchat so that way, like, if I ever, like, by accident saw, like, over on her phone, like, I wouldn't know, and that she had been talking to her ever since. Nothing relationship wise, but I remember, even as so far as she went out with her sister and one of her coworkers, and she told me that Lauren showed up there at the club and that Lauren kissed her, but that Alexandra, like, she pulled away. To this day, I don't know whether that's 100% true, like about her just showing up or anything like that, but I don't care. That's in the past. The fact is, and the main point of this is that, she was hiding it from me, and she felt, I talked to her and I told her, like, I don't like that you again lied to me, and I could see it in her eyes. I could see it in her facial expression, that she realized that she fucked up, and she, in front of me, blocked her on everything, took her off of everything. She stopped talking to her. And then after that, anything after that was good. So good that, in fact, a few months later, March 2018, I bought an engagement ring. I bought her an engagement ring, and I was going to propose to her. It had been long enough. We were at our best. We were both doing really, really well. We had a plan for the future. I was doing really good in school. She was doing really good in school. Like, I wanted to propose to her now, so that way in the future there would be like that groundwork already laid out, and we can move to that next step in our relationship. Through all of April 2018 and May, things started going bad. Terrible. I will never forget May 2018. So much bullshit happened, so much heartbreak and crying and just hate, during that time, that I never thought I would ever see myself in those states. And I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I made it through that. I made it through that entire month, or at least those entire, 2 weeks. And I even look at that time now, and I just think, I never knew I was that strong, emotionally, to make it through that arguing, through that fighting, through that constant state of just sadness and anger and all that. But a couple days passed, and again, we talked for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and we resolved it. And we were once again at that high, Like I said, communication. When you talk things out, things get better, And things were so good that I proposed to her. One day we went to Disneyland and took her in front of the castle of Disneyland. I pulled out the ring and I asked her to marry me in front of everybody. And she said yes. She said yes. So yeah, we had the buttons. That said engagement. It was a happy day. was great. I had finally done what I had always wanted to do. I'd always seen myself getting married. I've always wanted that. To have a wife. To have a family and all that stuff. And just to take this one giant step towards that, in that direction, was exciting. Prior to meeting Alexandra, I never wanted to be tied down. I never wanted kids even. I always just wanted to, make money and, do whatever I wanted, initially. But then I met her and, things just changed. She changed my entire perspective on that. She made me want to get married. She made me want to have kids, have a family, and, have that nice house and all that, And it was a turning point for me because through that evolution, from becoming selfish and materialistic, I started to enjoy more time outside of my room, outside of playing video games, outside of buying nice stuff, and at this point, really realizing that putting a smile on her face by going places, by being out, by spending time together, that's what really made me happy. Come June, we finish our semester at Long Beach City, and she was really bummed out because she wasn't going to be able to use the machines at school, to make all these different types of things she learned in her baking class. So with my last paycheck, I took money out and put it aside, and I bought her a mixer. And that mixer, not only was it something for her to use and for her to keep practicing, but it was also me, it was kind of a way of me showing her I'm investing in you, I believe you can do this, I want you to get better because I know you can be the best, baker you can be, and I want to be able to help you any way I can by providing you with whatever you need if I can get it for you. And she loved it, even to this day as I'm recording this right now with us not being together as I'm speaking here. She still uses it, and I know that she still enjoys baking, and she's glad that she has it there. But yeah, the point was that I bought her a mixer, and I was happy that she was gonna have something to make those desserts with, desserts and bread, just baking items. Towards the end of June, we were hanging out, and I glanced over at her phone while she was using it. I forgot what exactly we were doing that day, but I noticed that she was speaking to a guy. And initially, I didn't think much of it. But the more I started seeing her on her phone, the more it started to become an issue with me. And I'm not saying she was doing anything bad, I'm just saying that she was always open with me about stuff like that. I have zero things to hide. I'm not protective, anyone can go through my phone. I have no really, I set no boundaries on my phone. If you want to go through it, you're not gonna find anything. I tell you what's on my phone 100% of the time. She's always been protective of her phone. But I finally cracked, and I did something that I'm not proud of. I went through her phone. It was this guy, I was right, on Facebook Messenger. His name was Esteban, which was, or is, as I know of, a co-worker of hers. and I read their conversation, and there was nothing. There was nothing there. It was just, two friends talking. So immediately I felt like a piece of shit. And she found out, and she got mad. And even leading up to this point, ever since we got engaged, I just wanted to spend time with her. So she would always be sleeping over almost every single night. I would drive her home. I would drive her to work. I would drive her to my house. I was always with her. Leading into July. The morning of July 3rd at like 1 or 2 in the morning, I remember she was on her phone, she was drinking, she was smiling. I knew she was talking to her, and at this point I was just like, well, what the fuck, and she told me straight up, I'm not going to stop talking to him, so if you're not okay with that, then you can just fucking leave. I can just go. And I was like, you would really pick your friend over me, over everything that we've done, in the past 7 years? And she's like, yeah. That hurt to me. One, I would never tell her that, especially in that manner. And one of the rougher things was that, that really hurt my heart was that, this fucking dude, is more important than me after, everything we've been through, after, the things I've done and stuff like that. And then I just remember, ended up breaking up. And then she started telling me how her family thought I was controlling her, or watching over her every move, because I would always be with her, because I would always drive her to work and home and my house, and I was always there, I was watching her. And it wasn't the case. It was just I wanted to spend all my time with her. I'm at that point now where I just want to spend all my time with her. She was my fiance. I want to spend all my time with her. I love this girl. There's not a single moment that I don't want to be with her. And if I had a chance to be with her, I was gonna take it. So that just showed me how much their family really didn't like me. They didn't like me already because throughout our relationship, because I grew up with an alcoholic father, and I have bad memories associated with my dad. I denounced everything associated with him. So basically, Mexican culture as a whole, so when Alexander would drink, I would be mad. I don't enjoy Mexican music, which is what she enjoys. I don't like dancing to it, which is something that my dad did, which, anything that reminds me of him, and that, I didn't like, and they never liked me, I understand because I know that people are different, and I understand to accept people for their differences, and honestly, they're not those types of people, and that's not me talking bad on them, I still care about them, I've known them for years, and I still wish them the best, but, everybody's got their bad side, and I see Alexandra better than that, that's why I always want to help her, achieve her goals and stuff. Coming back to present time, I have been on this journey for 2 months now, 2.5 months, of trying to win her back. It's been non-stop chaos, and honestly, it's been physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting. She invited me to a party for her aunt, and I asked her for the address, knowing damn well that she was not going to invite me. But to my surprise, I was shocked. She actually gave me the address and wanted me to go. I show up, and at this point, her sister hates me, her brother hates me, her dad is mad, and he's giving me like this stink eye. And at some point in the night, she disappeared for a while, and I was sitting at a table by myself, and I was just like, man, fuck this, I'm gonna walk out. And as I was walking out, I see her and her dad talking, and she was crying, or she looked like teary-eyed, and I waited outside, and she came out, and she told me that she told her dad everything, because she didn't want her dad to be mad at me for something that, was on her part. And she told me, like, if I want this to work, that I have to let go of everything that had happened and start fresh and start new. And that gave me hope, I was like, I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like, I was relieved that this could finally be over. And she was happy, and I was happy. And a few days pass, and we were talking, and I tell her I miss her and all that stuff, and we're still not together. And she tells me that it was a mistake that she invited me to the party. That it was a mistake. I'll end the video on this because my story is still going. Guys, don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole to your girlfriends or boyfriends. Be willing to change. Be willing to make sacrifices. Be willing to be better. If you really care about that person. And ladies, don't play the games. Don't lie. Tell the truth. It's not worth it. To go through all the drama. They're there for a reason. Whether it's your boyfriend or girlfriend, they are there for a reason. It's because they are there for you. I don't know if this documentary is ever going to impact anyone's life, or if it's even going to achieve one of the goals that I wanted out of this, which is to win Alexandra back. But I'm sharing my story with all of you and with Alexandra in the hopes that you can see me early on and all my mistakes, and I talk about them all and how I got to here. How I'm doing something that I would have never done years ago. How I'm doing something because I don't want to lose someone that's so important, so impactful in my life, because I know I can do better. My message to Alexandra is, baby, if any of this documentary meant anything to you, I'm asking you to please just come over and talk to me. Every time we've ever talked, things have always gotten better, and I can't lose you. I love you too much to let you go without fighting. And I know that we can resolve this. I've fucked up, and you fucked up, but you know what? We're still in each other's lives. That shows that we still care about each other, And I just want to I love you, and I want to marry you, and have kids and have a house and just be happy. Everything I've been working towards, school, my career, and all that, it has more meaning because I'm doing it not only for myself, but for a future, and a future with you. I love you, Alexandra. I always have, and I always will. And to anybody out there who's watching this, I hope you take all these words, all these little experiences that I've had, some major, some not, and just come out of this video and appreciate what you have, what relationship you have, So even as you're watching this ending, pause it, take a second, and no matter what time it is, no matter what you're doing, message your boyfriend or girlfriend, your partner, and just tell them that you're thinking about them, that you love them, that you miss them, and that you can't wait to see them. They deserve to know that they're being thought of, and so do you. Anyway, that's been my story, and I hope that this achieves what I set out to do. So with that being said, my name is Juan Oliveros, and I'm a fighter, because now I believe in love, and I'm never going to stop fighting for the people that I love. And that's all I have to say on that. This is pretty much going to be me just saying one thing that I thought that the documentary was missing, actually showing you one thing that I think really helps out the entire thing really come together and solidify this idea that you saw at the beginning where me and Alexandra had our first date. So having our first date was very significant, at least to me it was. I found it very special, as I've already said, but I found it more so special as the years went on, and there's a specific reason for that. And I don't know if Alexandra knows this. I don't know if she has seen what I'm about to show you guys. I have no idea. What I do know is that if she hasn't, this is basically my leap of faith that if I ever have any hope of getting her back, that she deserves to know this, and that I've had this for all this time. So when we had our first date, I walked her to her house, like I said. But one of the things I did leave out was I went back to the park. I went back to the place where we first had our first date, and I decided that I wanted to grab something from there. Could have been anything. Just to remember that first date, because I did find it really special. So around that time I had this green beanie that I didn't use, right? It's actually this green beanie right here. Inside it is what I've had for the past 7.5 years, through all the good times, through all the bad times. I couldn't really find anything at the park, but I found this rock. Now, you may be saying, it's just a rock, what does it mean? But to me it means everything. I mean, it's a constant reminder that, I'm always going to have her with me, regardless of whether she comes back, regardless if she moves on, doesn't matter. I've always kept this through the good times and the bad times, and whenever I've had doubts, whenever I've had hard times, I look at this and it keeps me going.
because it reminds me of a very special moment, a very impactful moment that set all these events into place that, you know, got me to where I am now. You know, she doesn't know I have this. At least I don't think she does. And if she doesn't, I hope that, you know, this this little rock that I just decided to get 7.5 years ago, you know, on our first date, is really the thing that, you know, that is gonna make her come back to me, you know, or see that I actually have been thinking about her all this time, and that I've thought about that very special moment for years and years and years. But if not, then I only have this last thing to say, is that if this doesn't work, Alexandra, I just want you to know that I'm sorry. You know, from my perspective, what I saw is that I felt like I ruined your life. You know, you told me that, you know, I wasn't for you, that we were different. Even though, you know, I saw our differences as kind of a good thing. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, which is why it's taken me a long time to finish this. But I just want you to be happy. You know, I think I can do that, but if you don't feel that way, I just want you to know that you'll always have a place, you know, in my heart. I'll always care about you. I'll always love you. And I just want you to be happy. I want the best for you. And to all the people that are watching this, I just want you guys, if you take away anything from this entire thing, regardless of what you think about the whole movie, it's just always try to be better for that person that you care about, because you never know when they're going to be gone, and you don't want to be in my position. So just be happy and learn to appreciate each other, you know. And with that, guys, I just want to say thank you for making it to the end. I hope that this has been at least some help or an inspiration to some of you that have been watching. And to Alexandra, I hope that this is a testament of how much I actually do care about you and how much I actually do love you. Alright, and with that being said, guys, this is Juan, signing off.